I am Jimbo Paris, and you are listening to The Jimbo Paris Show.
All right. How's it going, everyone? This is Jimbo Paris. Welcome back again to the show. Today we have Rob Tracz. He's a nutritional coach, trainer. He's the creator of the School of Strength, and he's focused a lot on cultivating a very balanced lifestyle. So let's sort of see what he has to say and learn a lot about him. Seems like an interesting guy. I looked at his YouTube channel, and he really seems to be out there. So yeah, let's look at him.
How's it going, man?
How's it going? Okay, so kind of a little bit about yourself. Can you kind of explain, who you are, what you do, and sort of what your mission is?
Yeah, of course. Well, to start off, I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I had gone to school for exercise science, and that kind of brought me directly into the strength and conditioning world. Having a background in sports really created a second family for me. So my parents had ended up getting divorced when I was a young child. So I didn't have the typical household family that a lot of people get to experience. So I found having the sports team and the camaraderie of the other teammates to really become like my family. So after college, I had started to lose that feeling because it wasn't as easy for me to participate in different sports. So I found that as the coaching perspective to really help take over for that. So that's where I got into coaching. Went on to grad school, got my master's in exercise science, and just really fell in love with coaching and teaming still. And through the years, going from the collegiate setting to the private sector, I started working with younger athletes. So now I'm working with college kids or high school kids looking to go D1. And being around these kids more throughout the week gave me access to their families. And working with the families kind of led to more personal training world. And nutrition's always been a big part. It's one of my pillars in my coaching program. So the nutrition and the fitness and the strength and conditioning coaching all came together as really one big base. And I found myself quickly working many hours between working with athletes and then family members and then just general population people. I was basically becoming a slave to the grind. And I started losing myself physically, mentally. My relationship started to deteriorate, and I just kind of lost who I was. And I was experiencing extreme burnout, and it was not the place I wanted to be. And that's really where I kind of took a step back and needed to bring awareness of where I was going, what I was doing, and if this was the track that I really wanted to be on. Did I want to continue missing out on family events and parties and celebrations with friends? And frankly, I missed out on some really important times that I'll never get back. Specifically speaking, when my father had passed, I had missed a lot of that time where I could have been with him to the grind. So that's where I'm at now. Now, long story short, I guess, I'm now focusing on helping entrepreneurs really kind of refine themselves and avoid that burnout while still being the strongest person that they can possibly be.
So tell us something that most people probably wouldn't know about you.
Coming from the strength and conditioning world and nutrition background, people always think that I'm super tight with everything, like making sure I got to get my workouts in and dialing in my nutrition to the point. But I like to enjoy myself and have fun too. I've competed in a couple of food challenges, and I'm actually a meatball eating champion. So,
okay,
pretty cool. Yeah, I beat out about 30 people in a meatball eating competition, and it was pretty fun time. I was taunting some of the guys next to me, just making it a fun time. I was eating some of their meatballs too as time was kind of expiring. Turned it into a good time.
That is so cool. So you're a professional speed eater as well.
I guess so. Technically, I haven't been paid yet for eating, so I would consider myself still an amateur. But I keep my professional setting. I like to dive into some eating too. It's always good. I'm a huge fan of sushi, so I love crushing sushi anytime I get the opportunity. So, how about yourself?
Oh, well, No, I'm not a professional eater like you are, but I do have my fair share of legendary cheat days, but
Nice.
that's about it. But yeah, more about you though. Like, so a professional meatball eater. So I know about a lot of hot dog eaters, but meatball, like, is that any different or?
Just there was a local restaurant nearby. It's an Italian place, and they wanted to just strum up some extra business, and they hosted a meatball eating competition. Because I won, I ended up getting free meatballs for when I go there, and I got this huge like WWE wrestling belt. It was pretty cool. Um,
Oh, okay.
so yeah, when I won that, I kept that on for a while. I wore it around for like about a week or so.
That is okay. That's something I didn't know about you. Okay. So I also heard as well that you have a master's in science and exercise. Can you kind of explain why you pursued that and maybe what motivated you to get into that area?
Yeah. So I was finishing up grad school. So I had graduated with a bachelor's in kinesiology, which is the study of human movement. So I
Mm,
wasn't exactly sure what I had wanted to do. I had originally gone to school to become a phys ed teacher. I knew I wanted to be active and be around other people. But the kinesiology degree really opened a lot of different doors. I considered going on for physical therapy, and I also considered going on to become a registered dietitian, but I didn't necessarily want to be, I didn't want to get myself stuck working with injured people in the hospital with physical therapy. And I didn't want to just be stuck in like another hospital working with people with different eating disorders and deeper for what registered dietitians kind of do. So I wanted to really still work with athletes because that's where my family was. And I wanted to make sure that I could still help them from getting injured and so that they could continue playing at the best level possible. So I did some research on different programs, and I found that this one school was offering a master's in exercise science with a concentration in injury prevention and performance enhancement. So that really gave me the tools of both realms that I really needed to. So it gave me some expertise in nutrition, and it gave me some of the corrective exercises in the physical therapy kind of world, and kind of blended it together. Now I can't do either or of those professions specifically, but I can dabble lightly a little bit on certain aspects of each of those things, as long as I stay within the strength and conditioning and personal training realm.
okay. And a little thing too that I want to ask is, you also work a lot with young individuals. So I'm sort of fascinated by that fact because I don't know too many trainers that really specialize in this area. But what was sort of the significant turning point that led you to do something that different among the health industry?
Something that was different that allowed me to kind of working with younger kids, like in the strength and conditioning world.
Yeah, because you really have a lot of experience under your belt, and I don't really know too many people that kind of focus in on that area.
Yeah. Well, it just really came from moving the shift from the collegiate setting to private sectors. So in the private sector, anybody can come and work out in any kind of gym, strength and conditioning facility, or like a CrossFit kind of gym, anything like those things. And being in the private sector there, I was working with the high caliber athletes that were looking to go Division One. So working with these higher guys really brought me into their lives, because I would be seeing them 3 or 4 times a week for 1 or 2 hours a session. So spending that time with them really helped me kind of get to know them on a better basis. And then part of that getting to know them better was being around their family, because the family would come and watch them with the strength training, with the performance training, and things like that. Getting to know the families of these athletes introduced me to the personal training world, where now I can work with them as well. Because they've seen me with what I do with their athletes, now they're kind of interested in wanting me to help work with them as well. I treat pretty much everybody that I work with as an athlete. I kind of use the cliche of that we're all athletes in playing the game of life. We're just all in different teams and different positions. But because athletes typically have the best in shape bodies, and they're usually the most resilient, able to handle a lot of impact and different things, that's what I really kind of go with my approach with training. I still treat everyone as an athlete, not necessarily needing everyone to be doing box jumps and like sled sprints and crazy things like that, but still treating the body as a unit instead of breaking it down into different body parts is where I've seen a lot of my success. And it's really allowed me to help people from all different ranges of skills and ages. For example, the oldest person that I've worked with was 83. And our training was just focusing on getting down onto the ground and being able to be strong enough to get back up. Because for her, a lot of the fear that she had and her friends had was falling and having the impact breaking a hip or something like that and not being able to get back up. So we made sure that we were strength training, because strength training helps build bone density so that they would be able to be strong enough to withstand that impact. And then also grip strength to help pull her back up in case she were able to fall, she'd be able to climb back to her feet. And then flipping to the opposite side of the spectrum, the youngest kid that I've worked with was 3 years old. So that one was fun in itself. I was working with his two younger brothers, which were 6 and 9 at the time. And thankfully, the youngest, the 3-year-old, was very, very into it and really wanted to be like the older brothers. So there was a lot of basic movement patterns and making sure the running mechanics were there so that as all three of the kids grew and aged, they wouldn't develop imbalances and further injuries.
Okay, that's okay.
Sorry, that's a lot I threw out at you there.
Yeah. So what do you think is the difference between treating someone like an athlete versus treating someone like a regular person? Because I know athletes really do go through a lot, especially the student athletes at universities, because they have to really balance both of those disciplines. But how do you think treating them differently like that would make a difference? Is there a difference?
Well, I believe everybody should be training kind of like an athlete, putting themselves through some sort of like a progressive overload. So where they're pushing themselves to become better versions, but not necessarily over pushing themselves. And each person, kind of like I said before, it's different teams, different positions, all playing the game of life. So depends on who the person is coming in. They might have a crazy work schedule. They might have a crazy family or social life. So when we're speaking specifically just with training, we got to incorporate every aspect of it. So how does the family and work life affect the training? How can we balance things together? How do we make sure that we're fueling ourselves optimally so that we can continue to perform our best, whether that's in work or in the gym or on the field? And when I talk about fueling ourselves optimally, I don't just mean meals. I also mean media as well. I try to make sure that a lot of my athletes and clients aren't just binging endless hours on Netflix or just endlessly scrolling on TikTok. I try to make sure that what they're consuming is helping better them overall. So whether that is the food and the meals that they're eating or the different types of media that they're watching and reading too.
Interesting. Okay. And what's your approach to sort of balancing physical health and fitness with sort of lifestyle and overall well-being as a person?
Yeah, it's going to come back to awareness. So all the pillars in my coaching program are around the one major skill of awareness. So speaking in just terms of training, you got to be aware of what your current level of activity is. Are you currently going to the gym? Yes, no. If you're not going to the gym, what does just like your daily step count look like? Are you getting enough steps in to be considered on par with what the health organizations are looking for? If not, how can we kind of improve on those certain things? And it's comes back to that awareness. And hey, we're going to incorporate this new program. We're going to start doing this new training. After a couple of weeks, bring back that awareness. How are we now adapting to this? Are we getting stronger? Or do we have any aches and pains that we need to focus on? Are we enjoying the training? Or is it something that we're starting to dread? These are things that I like to incorporate into my check-ins so that I can help modify and change the program if needed to be. Because if I tell you, hey, Jimbo, man, I'm going to need you to run 100 sprints all out every single day, you might be a person who's like, yeah, I'd love that and be all for it. Or you could be like me and be like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to be doing that. So if it's something that you're not going to enjoy doing, the chances of you getting it done are going to drop drastically. So there's a little bit of an art to it where you got to figure out what each person needs and what they enjoy doing, and finding the perfect blend to make that program fit perfectly for them.
Yeah, you just gave me flashbacks to when I was on the wrestling team back in high school. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was also a wrestler in high school too, so I
Wow.
totally I can feel you on that one. Wrestling was great.
That's awesome. So what weight class were you? Just curious.
So I was a captain on the varsity team as a freshman. So each year I started off at 140 pounds, and then I had bumped up to 171, and I continued wrestling at 171 for the remainder. So the first year I cut down. I was probably gone into freshman year around 150, 155. Lost about 15 pounds and wrestled there, and that was terrible. But then sophomore year I wrestled up, and then junior year I wrestled right at weight. So I didn't have to lose or cut or gain weight, basically. How about yourself?
Oh, so I was in the 170 to 160 weight class. I did it from freshman to sophomore year. I actually was about 180 pounds freshman year, and I cut all the way down to 160 because there was actually a senior on the 180 team. So I couldn't make it because, again, seniors get priority.
Yeah.
And then sophomore year, I remember I was wrestling 170, then I got injured. So I focused just heavily on the academics there, and that sort of ended off there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, wrestling is definitely a brutal sport. So
It is. I have a lot of respect for wrestlers, though. But that is so cool. You actually were a captain as a freshman.
yeah. It was, I think it was pretty cool. I've always found myself in some sort of a leadership kind of role on different teams. And I think I don't know exactly what it is that kind of put me into those positions, but I feel like having some level of leadership skills or some sort of influence really helps me with coaching, because then it helps those get things done when they don't necessarily want to get things done.
Wow. Okay. So, so what are kind of the challenges that you faced when you're trying to prioritize well-being in your clients? Are there any issues they may have and so forth?
Yeah, a lot of people tend to fall into limiting beliefs. Some people have different limiting beliefs than others, where they're really holding themselves back. But a common one that I see a lot of people talk about is not having enough time in the day to exercise. So people are always talking that they have too much work, they have too much things going on, and they struggle to just carve out even 30 minutes to just go for a walk. And in certain cases like this, I try to help bring awareness again to their total daily schedule. And one of the little tricks and things that we work on is building more time in your day. So what I try to do early on is a challenge for about a week into the coaching program is you're going to wake up 15 minutes earlier each day of the week. So Monday, you wake up normal time. Tuesday, you wake up 15 minutes earlier. Wednesday, you're 30 minutes earlier. Thursday, you're 45 minutes earlier. And by Friday, you're awake a full hour earlier than you normally would. And for some people, that can be challenging in and of itself, because nobody likes to wake up earlier than they need to. But building that discipline in the smaller 15-minute increments over the course of the week helps you, because now you have that extra hour. You can do what you want with it. So if you wake up and if you just go for a little walk, you just shower, get your day together, you're in such a better mood. Now you're disciplined, so you're starting the day off with these wins. You're getting a little bit of activity in, and it's like the stepping stone. So once you have that kind of discipline down, then you start winning on the next front, which then we might have to discuss, which would be like adjusting a sleep schedule, or maybe doing an audit on our team of triangles is what I like to go with. So the people who you surround yourself with, kind of things. And then once you have that skill and the discipline down, it makes more change easier to happen.
And do you have any success stories on how you may have positively impacted individuals?
Yeah, a couple different ways too, but this one client that just popped in my head, his name is Mark, and he was 66 years old, and he had threw his back out picking up throw pillows, making his bed, and it was so bad that he was in a wheelchair, and he had scheduled an appointment to fuse some of the vertebrae in his lower back and his lumbar spine together, with the idea of helping alleviate some of the pain that he was constantly in. But what ended up happening was it really immobilized him, and it didn't fix the pain either. So he was still stuck in his wheelchair and experiencing even more pain, and he was missing out again a lot of times of family vacations. He was stuck in his wheelchair, so he wasn't able to get around and do work what he was trying to do. So he was very limited. And then he had scheduled a second session, a second appointment to fuse even more vertebrae together. And at this time, he had came in contact with me, and we had sat down and we set out a plan of attack. And we had agreed that we were going to strength train Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, while on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, he would do his own homework of stretching and mobility routine. And he really stuck to it. And I'm so grateful that he did, because about 8 months down the road, he had canceled his second surgery, and he was deadlifting close to 400 pounds. He was squatting almost 275 pounds, and he was bench pressing over 200. And keep in mind, this guy, he was at this time down the road after that 8 months of working together, he was 67 years old. So he's almost 70 years old. And he was telling me that he's moving better, he's stronger, his clothes fit, he looks better than he did when he was 40. And I was like, wow, man, this is incredible. And I don't like to take credit for it, because he's the one who was putting in all the work, but being the guide to help him get there, really bringing the awareness to what needed to be done to turn his life around. And he's still moving great. He's training hard still, and he's just a great guy to be around. And I'm glad that he decided to go against the second surgery.
Well, you really did make a massive impact in his life. And yeah, obviously put in the work, but you kind of helped to coach him in that direction. And I think as a coach, you push people to sort of overcome their own personal boundaries. So the next question I have is, how do you sort of push people to kind of be busy or be productive and exercise frequently during their daily lives?
That's going to go back to depending on who they are and where they have the availability. So it would be doing an audit on your own schedule. I don't know if you use a schedule, but scheduling is something that I kind of picked up on many years ago, and I don't know where I would be without a schedule. Just being able to see in advance and reflect on the things that you've accomplished in the past week or so. Just bringing that awareness is number one thing that most people need to be doing if they're not doing already. And then looking at that, then you can kind of see, filling in the spaces like, okay, am I spending too much time watching TV, or am I spending too much time out at the restaurants or bars and things like that? And having that snapshot of where you spend your time allows you to kind of pick and choose. Okay, if I have Friday night movie night with my girlfriend, wife, or et cetera, is it possible that I could probably push that back a half hour and just go for a walk? If not, if you have more availability in your schedule, can I carve out 45 minutes to an hour to get to the gym? If not, can I do a couple of exercises at home? What do I have to work with in my schedule and access to? And it's just building small steps there. So maybe it's just going for the walk today. Maybe it's just going to the gym tomorrow. Just get there, hang out, make friends with people at the front desk, and then leave. And then maybe the following day, it's okay, now it's time to settle into maybe trying to get a couple exercises in. It's all about the progress, bringing the awareness and progress.
Okay. And if someone has a busy schedule, maybe they work at a corporate business, maybe they own their own business, maybe they're a college student, Maybe they're an athlete, who knows? How would you think they could kind of balance their busy schedules to sort of accomplish the goals that they have?
Yeah. So one of the pillars that I focus on with my entrepreneur clients is making sure that your habits and your routines are on point. So whether you believe it or not, you follow a routine. You have habits that you just instinctively do, whether that's just brushing your teeth or just the way that you cook dinner and things in between. So when you have such a busy schedule, it's good to reflect on the things that you are doing consistently and see if you can habit stack a little bit. So I don't know if you're familiar with the term habit stacking, but it's you figure out certain things that you do often and then finding the new habit that you want to incorporate and stack it on top. So for me, I was for the longest time I was rushed in the mornings. So I would wake up last minute right before my alarm, right as my alarm would go off, right as I have to run out the door. I would brush my teeth and I would just like run out. Everything's frantic. My whole day is all set up for chaos. And what I started doing was reflecting on, okay, every night before I go to sleep, I would brush my teeth, I would scroll on my phone, and then I would watch TV and fall asleep. So that's my bedtime routine. Then I was like, how can I improve on this? All right, so maybe as I'm brushing my teeth, I can pick out some clothes to wear for tomorrow so that I'm not frantically figuring out what to wear each day. Instead of scrolling on my phone, maybe it's time for me to turn off the TV and turn off the phone and read or write out some action items that I want to make sure that I get done the following day and morning so that I'm not frantic. Oh, do I need to grab some food? Should I do this? No, I already have my food out. I know where I'm going when, and I just got to check it off as I go by. And then you build those habits up by stacking them one after another. And then down the road it was, okay, now that I brush my teeth, I pick my clothes out, I write out the things that I'm doing the day before I brush my teeth, can I add in making my lunch for the next day? So now I've got my lunch, teeth, clothes, things I got to get done tomorrow, reading, going to bed. So you see how I've kind of stacked that up into this nice routine that sets me up for a great morning that'll lead into a positive and productive day. So if you're someone who struggles to find time to get to the gym in your day, maybe it's trying to put your gym clothes in the gym bag the night before, making sure that that's ready and set for you to roll. So when you do finish your day at work, instead of just going home to change and then getting stuck on the couch, maybe it's you bring your clothes with you to work so you just go straight to the gym and you can change.
Okay. Now, I think, you have a lot of ways to kind of get people to that next level, to help them push themselves as a coach. But how do you sort of measure success in your own life and maybe measure success or help people measure success in their own lives?
Yeah, for the longest time, I was really focused on outcome goals. So for clients who are looking to lose weight, it's did they lose the weight that they were trying to get there? Yes, no, success, failure. In business, it was I want to make this much money. Did I make that much? Yes, no, success or failure. And it wasn't really until I had shifted my mindset of outcome goals to process goals. So let's speak in terms of weight loss. You got to make sure that you're getting activity in. You got to make sure that you're eating well. You got to make sure that you're sleeping well, things like that. You can't just magically wake up and then look at the scale. So these are the things that you need to focus on to make sure that the scale does start to move. So am I hitting the process goals of getting a certain amount of steps in that I want to get in? Am I hitting the process goal of getting as much grams of protein in per day that I want to get in? Am I getting to bed on time so that I can try to get the correct amount of hours of sleep that I'm shooting for? So it's those things that you can control that impact the outcome that gets you to where you want to go. If that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And I think we need to get more into the idea of TAPS training.
Sure.
So what is TAPS training and kind of what is the future of that?
Yeah. So TAPS training, TAPS is an acronym. because of my strength and conditioning background. My last name is Trazy, so it's Trazy Athletic Performance Strategies, and really incorporating everything it takes to be the strongest version of yourself and making sure that you succeed. The future of TAPS is getting more into the remote coaching world. So I'm launching more and more remote coaching, which is more of like an accountability aspect, but incorporating my pillars of coaching that I do with people in person on the online world. So bringing together, specifically speaking of side hustlers and entrepreneurs, because that's who I was when I was experiencing that burnout. I was stuck in the side hustle between personal training and wanting to build an online business and kind of get things going. I was stuck in those two worlds. So I know that I'm most powerfully positioned to provide service to those entrepreneurs and side hustlers to help them survive and keep them going so that they can excel in life with both physically, mentally, and socially too. So I'm trying to build this world together. It's kind of like a mini network of entrepreneurs and side hustlers, get them together, get them active, feeling good, consuming great quality content and food, and just kind of building a community of where entrepreneurs and side hustlers can come together and kind of rely on each other to hold themselves at a high standard.
Now, I also was looking at your YouTube channel, and there were occasional situations where you were discussing your supplement line. What are your best-selling premium supplements?
Yeah. The best ones would have to be the protein products because it's an whey isolate. So for those who aren't familiar with the difference between concentrate and isolate, concentrate protein powder is the powdered foamy substance that comes through filtering of milk from cows. Once they have that foamy substance, they dry it out and press it, and that becomes the whey concentrate protein powder. In order for it to become an isolate, they have to filter it through a second process. And that second eliminates a lot of like the milk sugars and things. So you have a more purified form of protein. So that's a great one. Creatine monohydrate is an excellent one that people really love. It's the most widely studied dietary supplement. And it's pretty much one of the most powerhouses of anything that any athlete or person can take. Yes, it's going to help build some strength and some size if that's what you're looking for. But also there's a lot of cognitive benefits too, helping with focus and memory too. So the creatine is also a great one. And the other one that I see a lot of people going for, aside from the vitamin D, is also the sleep support. I feel like now, because of COVID, there's been a shift towards more awareness on mental health and mental health awareness. And I think part of that isn't necessarily totally linked, but I think making sure that you get good quality sleep and recovery and letting yourself kind of detox the brain while you're sleeping is so powerful. So I see a lot more people now going for those sleep support supplements as well. All natural stuff, so it's perfectly non-addictive and it's easy to just take. So it helps you feel refreshed in the morning.
And I think before my last few questions here, why do you think people should prioritize going to you instead of maybe another coach? What makes you different and special compared to other coaches?
Well, I mean, obviously, besides the meatball eating championship, I like to try to have as much fun and incorporate as much fun to different things that I can. So on my group coaching calls, I try to have a good hot seat and keep things light. I do like to enjoy myself. So whether we're having a coaching call, having a couple of drinks on the call, or just hanging out, chatting about family life and things like that. So you really get that next level of kind of like a family with the community. And aside from that, but also obviously the credentials and schooling and things like that kind of sets me aside. But I really think the fun aspect and family that we're kind of developing is the go-to. One thing that I'm looking to incorporate in the future is going to be TAPS team retreats and events. So I'm looking down the road to have these opportunities for members of the TAPS community and TAPS team to kind of come together in these great locations and enjoy great weather, great fun with friends, and really get to know other teammates that you might meet over the internet through the coaching software that you might not normally get to see elsewhere. So it's another level of bringing the family to the next height.
All right. So before we kind of finish up this show, I want to sort of give you a bit of exposure. Let's kind of look at your website, maybe run through your website, and sort of you could explain to people how to navigate it and better use your content.
Sure. Yeah. So this is the most recent website. We have a new one up for my speaking career that's about to be fully launched. But right now, this is the website here. So you just kind of scrolling around on that. You have the few different articles at the top. You can join the free Facebook group. There's scrolling down, there's different tabs for different information for people to kind of follow through. And there's easy access to the dietary supplements.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds very, very interesting. And, I think the last questions I have for you is, what do you think, what kind of inspirational message do you have maybe, or advice you have to maybe young people, especially that might want to get into this whole health industry and maybe improve themselves in life, or maybe become, a health thought leader, influencer?
Yeah. Number one thing I would say is just always making sure that you're looking to better and improve yourself and others around you too. One of the pillars of my coaching program is about getting invited back. So making sure that you're always the best person that you can be that helps provide value to others around you. So whatever you're looking to do, if you're looking to become a coach, if you're looking to just start getting better into the personal development world, it's just start small, look at where you're at, and just look for small areas that you can improve, and make sure that what you're doing makes you better as a person so that you can help impact the bigger world. So that making sure that you're giving back, always helping hand, holding doors for people, looking to be the best version of yourself so that you can spread that same idea and same mentality to make this world a better place.
Okay. All right. So I think the final question I have is, and again, this has been an amazing interview. How can we reach out to you?
Yeah, the best place to find me would be on Instagram. Just first name, last name, just one word, Rob Tracz. And that's the easiest place. I'm always answering messages if anyone ever has any questions, or if they're looking for something specific, I can direct them easier through that way for additional information. But also just reaching out through email too. Email works great. Just rob@taps-training.com. Two best places to reach me.
All right, nice. Well, thank you for being on the show, Rob Tracz. You were an amazing guest. I think, a lot of people have learned, some stuff about health, fitness, coaching. This was a very educational talk, and really appreciate you being on the show. Just to quickly end this off, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on the Jimbo Paris Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm currently working on a passion project that I'm really excited about, but I need your help to bring it to life. We will be launching soon our very own Jimbo Paris Academy, and this is going to be about aspiring creators and creating concepts. Thank you for your support. I'm sharing free bonus content to supporters, so let's make some amazing content together. Our affiliate partner, LifeWork Systems, focused on helping create a better collegial environment, looking at the mental health of business workers, business employees, and overall bringing the business up.
Thank you for listening to the Jimbo Paris Show.